So I'm just going to cover these two topics here. Very short, very simple video. I want to stick to my two topics here for this video and make sure I cover everything. But not everybody understands what I mean when I say that we're living as an avatar, playing as an avatar. And we all feel we're different from the outside, so we all want to be better than the next, or we all compare ourselves to the next, but we don't realize we're both equally divine. We're both playing as an avatar. We all want to be accepted, we all want to be loved, we all want to be taken in with love. We all want the same things for the most part. We're not much indifferent when you get to the root of everything. We're no different than the avatars or the character roles that we watch and get lost in through movies. And this is what I want to make clear to people, is there is no difference between a character role. Like why everyone has maybe a TV show. I'm not into TV shows, but everyone has a TV show or something that they watch every single week. And you get entrenched, you get involved into a TV show to begin with because you like the character, you like the situation, the trials and tribulations that this character faces. We attach to TV shows and movies and stuff is because we're taking on that character as ourselves. When we watch movies and when we watch TV shows, we take on the character's role that we are watching, and it's the same thing for what we're calling God and our being, our conscious being. There is the central self playing this game, and it's watching each and every one of us through our perceptions as a movie. And we're getting so lost and convinced beyond a doubt that it's real that it's putting us at the edge of our seats. It's putting you at the edge of your seat, just waiting and waiting and waiting for the next thing to happen because you're so suspenseful, you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what's going to happen next. And the very same nature of how you react in movies, like when a character's walking through a dark room and you're trying to tell the character, turn on a light, or you're getting so evolved in the movie, you become a part of the movie. You take on that role as if you're there, as if it's real. Consciously, you know the movie's not real. Consciously, you know the character is in no danger. But you're magnificently tricking yourself by getting lost into the character role. You know it's not real. You know that the good and the bad are just actors. And that it's not real at all. They're just playing a role. It's when you become so convinced beyond a doubt that this is real that you begin to take it too serious and you get lost into your role. We're born with two identities, all of us, because we're all the divine central self, which is all that there is. And everything outside of that central self is all a part of the dream. And it's what we're calling life. It's what we're calling reality. It's what we're interpreting as real beyond a doubt. And that's where humans' greatest misconception is one, we're born taught that we're humans. Huge misconception. We're not human. And two, we're taught that this divine being of God is outside of ourself, and that he's coming from the sky to save you, or he's coming from somewhere to save you. But no matter what, your Savior is outside of yourself. And this is another thing we're taught from birth up. And this is why so many who are logical thinkers become atheists, because we realize there is nothing outside of the self. And we choose to look everywhere outside but ourselves because we illogically assume we know ourselves best. And then the one we see in the mirror is it. And so we never choose to look within ourselves because, again, our logic distorts our understanding of ourselves. We feel we know ourselves best. Be absurd for us not to know ourselves best, right? We live in our minds. We are our minds every single day. However, not all of us have gone deep into our own minds to search. Because when you begin an honest search, you will be led back to yourself. It'll all connect to you because you'll see there's nothing outside of yourself. There is no mediator or no person outside of the universe waving his hands and making things happen. There is no savior that's going to come from the sky or anywhere outside of your own self. Just as happiness is a state of mind, heaven is a state of mind. It's not a place. And this is our greatest misconception. We're hoping for this magical place when we die. And we're totally taking advantage of what's in front of us here and now. We're not understanding that there is nothing that's going to make anything happen for us. And this is why we're taught that the divine being is outside of ourselves, because the more you pray and pray and pray and release your wishes to, you're talking them to nothing basically. Because I said, there's nothing outside the universe. There's no authority figure outside the universe making things happen or taking people's wishes or prayers and saying, you deserve this but you don't, and you don't deserve this but you do. I'm going to cure your cancer but not yours. I'm going to save you from this car crash but not you. There is none of that. And that's what we can accept, is this energy we call God is with the good and the bad. Where you have positive, you have negative. Where you have light, you will have dark. And the two energies are a playing of each other. They will never give out. One will never win over the other. This is what humans cannot accept. The good will always be as long as there is bad, and the bad will always be as long as there is good. The two energies will always be in exchanging of each other. One doesn't overpower the other. That's all a human illusion, a human construct, and we worry ourselves about this our whole lives. We create all these fears that aren't possible, aren't real, because we're not understanding anything, because we've never challenged our grounds, our foundation of knowledge. We've never challenged that, because everything we were taught from birth up is a backwards lie. And this is why so many people are awakening, because so many people are becoming consciously aware that none of this makes sense. But we are none other than the movie characters we watch, we take on. When you watch a movie and you watch a TV show becomes your favorite because of the character, because of the scenario, because of the role, because of something. There's something that attaches you to this TV show or to this movie that makes you want to watch it. And it's just like God, the central self, playing through us, this conscious mind, and we're playing this character, we're taking on this movie role through the conscious being, the flesh. And we're getting so lost and so indulged into this creation that we're taking it serious. We're at the edge of our seats, and we're creating our own fears, our own miseries, and our own everything, just like when we watch movies. As I said, when you watch a movie and you see the main character going into a dark room, and you know there's danger, but you also know it's not real. But your mind allows yourself to indulge in that fear. Even though it's not real, you're creating it. You're aware there is nothing really in the room that's going to hurt this person, the main character, but it's an act. And so you get involved in that character, you take on his role, you take on his position, and you're at the edge of your seat screaming at the TV, turn on a light, get a weapon. Speaking to him as if you're him, because you're taking on the role, just as we are taking on this role of the body. It's only we're convinced beyond a doubt this is all we are. And this is where I'm going to lead into DMT, because what DMT does is it makes the avatar aware that he is the only one, he or she is the only one playing this game. That this dual reality of male, female, positive, negative, above and below, light and dark, it's all a part of the dream. It wasn't real. None of this is real. We are giving it the title of real. Any word we use is just a title or definition, description, describing what we are trying to understand. Doesn't make it any more real or indefinite. Doesn't define what we are saying. That's just the name we have given for things. And so, when you get to the bottom of it, there is nothing that's real or fake, existent or non-existent, alive or dead. That's a part of the dual reality. There is no beginning or end. There is just the central self creating the dual reality of two. And you have to have duality to serve the purpose of chaos, because our entire universe is built on chaos. It's a chaotic motion, back and forth, forever. It's chaos. However, we've been trained to fear the chaos. We've had chaos used against us. So now, we're terrified of chaos. And it's the ego, the body, the flesh, the person we're playing as, that, as I said, we're convinced beyond a doubt this is who we are. It's the ego that seeks control of the chaos. It's the ego that must control everything. We must take control of ourselves and our lives and our this and our that. And we must feel we have an influence over everything. However, we only have an influence of our own emotion, our internal self. And if you have control of your internal self, you have control of your external self, and there is nothing outside of you that you can control. So a lot of people ask me, well, why can't I prevent this person's death or that person's death? That's foolish. It doesn't work that way. I'm not saying you're going to control events and phenomenons and make the lottery numbers appear on your ticket. I'm not saying any of that. But you will be in control of your emotion, of your internal, and as I said, that will affect your external. The biggest thing that this knowledge gives you is the conscious mind of being able to manifest your dreams. Manifest all your prayers. Every prayer you've ever said spoke out. When you awaken to this reality, you realize that everything you're speaking out, you're talking to yourself. You're not talking to anything. There's no one in the sky listening to you. God always hears you because it's in the mind. It's all in your mind. And that's why you close your eyes. That's why it's been taught to close your eyes when you pray. You're looking into yourself. However, you're unconsciously aware of who you're talking to. So you can pray to the self all day, but you're still expecting something outside of yourself to answer to your prayer, to respond to your prayer, to make your prayer happen. And this is why I say we're unconsciously talking to ourselves, because when you're unconsciously saying your prayers to yourself, you're still under the illusion or the impression that something outside of you is going to make this happen if you're good enough, or if you pray enough, if you're faithful enough, if you're loyal enough. Then this may happen, as long as you keep praying. And that's why they tell you this. They want you to keep talking and talking and talking to everything but yourself, because you're putting your hope in everything but self. And as long as you keep releasing your prayers and wishes outside of yourself, they will never come true. That's why they want you to keep waiting and keep waiting and keep waiting, because you'll be in a grave before anything ever happens for you. There is nothing but you that can make it happen. We have the power of manifestation. I say this all the time. You take a thought pattern, a wave pattern in the head, in the brain, in the mind, and you externally cast that into reality. So you are shaping your own realities when you become aware of manifestation. When you stop praying out loud to nothing and start talking to the central self, becoming aware of who you're praying to, of what you're talking to. As I said, when we pray, we're letting all our wishes go out, but we're under the impression something outside ourselves is going to make this happen. This is where this knowledge will totally reverse that. You become aware, only you, the conscious mind, the I am, can manifest your thoughts into reality. And so instead of praying them out, you're consciously now closing your eyes to look within yourself. You're not just closing your eyes to pray outside of you. You're consciously aware who you're talking to, and now you can close your eyes to look within the central self. And it's when you close your eyes and look within the central self that it becomes clear. You don't have to pray to anything. You have to become aware of your gift. The gift of consciousness, the gift and the power of being able to think, to be self-aware, to create. And we create by, as I said, taking a thought pattern, a waveform, and externally casting that into reality to shape our reality around us. We don't realize it, but every single choice we make, any little choice you make, whether it be, I'm going to end this live right now and go brush my teeth, or I'm going to end this live and play a video game, any little choice we make is us shaping our realities. We just don't become aware of that because we take advantage. We take for granted what we call everyday consciousness. We take this for granted. Life is boring. This is nothing. Everyday, any ordinary everyday consciousness. And it's because we don't realize our gift. We don't realize that with every single choice we make, I'm going to go sit on the couch, I'm going to go lay down, I'm going to take a bath, I'm going to go take a walk. You're shaping your reality through conscious choice. The universe is not created, it's being created, or it's not created, it's being created as we go. This is not a creating universe. It's not already created. It's not already set in place. There is no fate where we think, oh, the universe is already done and all this has already happened and fate will take its course. Things only appear as fate when you're unconsciously aware of who you are. It's when you are consciously aware of what you're doing through choice that things no longer become fate. You take control of your own fate by becoming consciously aware of choice. Choice is the most powerful phenomenon in the universe. Conscious choice. And that's why animals don't have as a variety of options to be as conscious as we are. They don't have a variety of choices to be as conscious as we are. They don't have the ability to self-reflect on the self. And so this is going to lead me into my next topic of DMT. Because I've had a lot of people asking questions about DMT, about what they should be focused on, what they should be looking for, or what they should be expecting. And I'm going to make it all very clear for you. When using DMT, it is good to have one person, and I stress one. It's good to have one person to babysit you, if you will. I guess that's the term people call it. To sit you and watch and make sure you don't do anything crazy. But other than that, it's not good to have a big amount of crowds around you when you're doing DMT. And that's my personal opinion. I'm not going to say that's fact or indefinite. It's my opinion. It's not good to have a big amount of crowds around you. It's good to be in a quiet space or a space where you feel comfortable. Whether it be in a room, a forest, wherever your comfort zone is. But what you must take into account is when you're taking DMT, you have to be prepared to face yourself. There is no person or no place, and this is why I stress this, that's going to make your trip when you do DMT any less painful or easy. Because people go into DMT thinking they're going to see this great stuff and it's all exciting to them. And I tell people all the time, DMT is not that type of molecule. It's not that type of medicine. When you take DMT, you are going to cry. You are going to mourn the loss of yourself. You are going to see yourself dead. You will die. In your trip, you die. Like, the trip isn't meant to be something where you're tripping and you're seeing things and it's just all cool and fun and games. It's not even like that. It's a spiritual drug to connect your conscious mind to the subconscious central self. To make you aware, as I said, to make the avatar aware that they are the only one playing this game. That's what DMT does. It shows you that male or female does not matter. We are all one being. And again, the male-female is the dual reality, the two planes of this one energy. Yeah? And throughout all life, throughout all reality, that's all there is the two planes of this energy. The battle between angels and demons, that's the dual reality. 2. The battle of the angels and demons is the battle of the mind, the conscience. Your conscience is your angels and your demons inside your mind. But I stress this to people who want to take DMT. Do not rely solely on your environment around you to help ease your trip. Do not rely solely on a person that's watching you when you're doing DMT to help alleviate your pains. Or just be aware that you're going to have to face your pains, your greatest regrets, your greatest fears. And it's when we are in that trip that we begin fighting it, because it's everything we've ever known since birth being exposed as a lie. You're being shown that your entire life is a lie, and it's hard to accept. So we reject it. Even I rejected it. My first time, I rejected it, and I didn't just reject it, I flipped out. I lost my mind. It's not as fun as people think. This is a very intense medicine. But it's for the people who need it, who are at the point to where they are ready to awaken from this dream. They need it. You've done enough suffering, or you've done enough playing as the character, you've done enough in your role. You've put out this person for the world to see, and now you're tired of living as this mask. And so, this is when most people are willing to try DMT. And this is why I stress, if you do DMT, just make sure you're prepared to face it all by yourself. Make sure you're not going to have someone that's going to be there to watch you do DMT that you're solely dependent on, or someone that makes you feel comfortable outside yourself. Because, like I said, then you're going to be leaning on them or toward your environment, your surroundings, as an escape from the trip. When you reject it, you're going to want out of this trip, and you're going to look for any way you can. So you're going to see your friend, and you're going to try and get them to help you get out of this state, or you're going to try and turn to your environment, your surroundings, where you're at, and let that be your escape. But my point is you want to be uncomfortable. You want to be uncomfortable when doing DMT. Because it's forcing you to face what you've been putting off your whole life. And this is why it's so hard for us to actually go into that trip and close our eyes and just go into it. The trip begins when you close your eyes. As far as psilocybin, that is. Smoking DMT crystal is totally different, but psilocybin eases you into your trip more, and you more fall asleep, but not fall asleep, but enter a different realm. But my point is, your trip starts when you close your eyes on psilocybin. And so it's the person who's taking it, it's on them that they have to let go. Like when you take it, you're aware that the minute you close your eyes, you're going to enter this trip, and you're somewhat aware that you're going to die. I don't know how, but when I took DMT and I'm sitting here laying down and I was feeling it hard, and I'm fighting my eyes closing because I felt like as soon as my eyes closed, I was going to die. That's what my brain was telling myself. If you close your eyes, you're going to die. And so I was sitting there for 30 minutes, falling asleep, and then jumping back up, and then I would fall asleep and jump back up because I was fighting falling asleep, because I was fighting the trip. I didn't want to see what it was going to show me. I was fighting it. And finally, I laid my head back and I closed my eyes. And this is why I say we cannot be dependent on another person. We cannot be dependent on our surroundings. When you take DMT, you're basically saying that you're ready to face yourself with no one else around, no influence around you. Nothing but yourself should matter at that moment. To take DMT is to see yourself beyond your skin. We all say we're infinite, we all say we're this soul or we're this spirit, but we don't really know what we're talking about. We've never seen ourselves outside of this form, outside of this body. So we can say we're energy or we're light beings or we're this, but we still don't know fully what we're talking about. So what DMT does is it shows you yourself beyond any form in the skin, any form that's taking any shape. It allows you to see yourself beyond the skin. And this is where you see that there is no individual, there is no one or separate individuals, separate from the one self. That any vortex you go down, like when you take DMT, you go through the rabbit hole, you go through a vortex, and you're just moving down this vortex. And for everyone, it may be a little different. But when you get to the end of this vortex, because remember, at a vortex, you got this little center point there. When you get to that center point, when you reach the end of that vortex, that center point is showing you the central self, and that there is nothing, literally nothing in existence but that central self that's expanding to create the sphere and this fractal universe around, that's spiraling around and around and around to repeat itself again and again and again. And that's what fractal means. Fractal means a pattern that will repeat itself to infinity. That's what phi is, the Fibonacci pattern. That's what phi represents. It repeats itself to infinity. And that's what Tesla's 369 represents, a fractal pattern. Tesla said if you knew the magnificence of 369, you'd have a key to the universe. His phrase on that was, this universe is fractal, and if you could break the code that 369 make fractal patterns to infinite, or infinity, then you would realize our universe is not only fractal, but repeating itself, and that's what Tesla meant by 3, 6, and 9. Those are the only three numbers. Only three. You can work out the math any way you'd like. It'll never change. 3, 6, and 9 are the only numbers that will make fractal patterns to infinity. And that's all this universe is a fractal pattern repeating itself, repeating itself, repeating itself, and it's a spiral. And you're just coming back around again to realize the central self more in depth. That's all we're doing. History repeats, but it also can be changed when you become aware it's repeating. You can influence the future by becoming aware of what's happened already. Nothing's set in place. As I said, nothing has already happened. We create the universe through thought pattern. We create. Nothing is set in stone. There is no fate. We fear fate most because we fear we're not in control of our own lives. We fear we're not in control of what's happening around us. There is only one universe, yes, but through our individual perceptions, we're all a different form of that universe. So there is only one universe, but through different perceptions, we're all creating our own universe. So who you allow into your universe, who you allow into your life, is your choice. It's not fate. What you allow to affect you, as far as emotion, like are you going to let someone stress you to the point to where you're nauseous and you're feeling sick and ill and miserable? That's a choice. No one said you had to. It's a choice. We don't have control of what's beyond ourselves, but as I said, we had control of everything that's within our own universe. Who we let in, who we choose to respond to an emotion, who we choose to get angry at, who we choose to be sad with, or it's all a choice. As I said, we can control things outside ourselves, like people dying or greater things. We have no control of that. But we can become liberated from all our stresses we're creating for ourselves by realizing just that. You have control. You have power. You're not the one you see in the mirror. You're not just this little body in this huge earth, in this huge universe. The universe and you are exactly the same, no different, literally the same. Micro to macro, above and below. They are one and the same. And you only feel so tiny as a human. You only feel so tiny in this skin when you think of the universe because you're still under the impression that the universe and the you and this skin are separate beings, separate deities or entities. And once again, that's a great illusion. The universe becomes a lot smaller when you realize that it is literally a reflection of yourself in the skin. You're not really looking up at stars and all that. You're not looking up at a universe that you have no idea what it is. You are the universe above you're looking at. And you only have the questions of what this is because you are everything you're asking. You're already every single question you ask. That's why you have the question. You've only forgotten through a conscious being, a micro-conscious being. You've tricked yourself in a greater form, the macro, into forgetting who you really are. And so we're born naturally having questions of who we are. What is the stars? What is the sun? What is the moon? Why are these here? They're natural questions we have. Because we've been made to forget. One, who we are, and two, we've been taught that we're humans. We've given life itself a definition. And there's your great misconception, because once you have people defining what life is, you have a great misconception already being taught. And especially in schools, it's not where they're going to teach you. And that's the great misfortune of all of this, is schools don't really teach you. Schools aren't trying to enlighten one of the self. Schools are trying to prepare you for your years of labor, for your years of work. They're trying to prepare you for the career force, the career lifestyle. They don't want us to be intuitive, creative beings working as one because we are one. They need us to be divided. They need us to be separate. They need us to be under this illusion so we cooperate. So we go to work, we run our machinery, we fill out their paperwork, and we go home. And we repeat this process every single day. And as I said, we're taught to just keep praying and praying and praying. And the more you pray, the more you're waiting on some things to happen. So you're praying and waiting on something to change, but you're also going to work and doing the same thing every single day. And you're expecting a change that will never happen. Because, again, you're not aware of who you are. And so this is why we say life isn't fair. And we look up at the sky and we're saying, just give me a break. Like, why can't I just have this? Why can't I just have that? You're still under the impression there's someone in the sky that's going to influence your life. You're still under the impression there's someone in the sky that's hearing you, that's listening, and that's actually going to say, you know what? You're right, you've had enough. Let me just fix all your problems with a wand. We're still under this illusion that that's what's going to happen. Like, once we face enough pain and terror, we're just going to finally, everything's going to fall into place because we've prayed enough. And that's why we're taught to just keep waiting, just keep waiting, just keep waiting for your miracle. Keep praying to someone in the sky. And as they say, your Savior is going to come back from the sky again when He's ready. Well, I'd say after 9/11, I think we could have been ready for that Savior. I think after all these government conspiracies and murders and all this crap, the point is there's been so much bad, there is nothing that's going to save us. We've witnessed in the past 100 years probably the most gruesome, murderous freaking plots against humanity we've ever seen. yet there is no Savior coming, and I think now would be a best time, if ever, yeah? But that's what they want. They want you to keep waiting, and just keep waiting and waiting, because they know there is nothing that's coming. The change only happens when the majority of people become aware that they've been cheated, that they've been robbed, that they've been fucking misled this whole time. And as I said before, history repeats itself, so go back into history and look at every corrupt government that's ever been. How does that end? It ends with the people, the majority, waking up and realizing they've been cheated and lied to and used, and that government is overthrown. That's what's happened from century to century to century to century, and it's only a matter of time. History will always repeat, but it's because the people, again, they don't take note of what's happening. So eventually, people will awaken, people will try to overthrow this government, and I always say, it doesn't take a war, it doesn't take us going there and burning things down and throwing this on police cars and doing this. It doesn't take any of that. That's not what a revolution is even about. That's the great misconception again. The government has put out to the people that a revolution is people rioting and fighting police and bashing things. They want you to do that because you'd be a fool if you were to. They've got technology and the best military in the world. You really want to go against that? They'll kill you within 2 seconds. They would love for you to go out and riot and go start your revolution, because they're aware that's not how revolution starts even anyway. Revolution begins just like this. People becoming intuitively aware of the greater picture, aware of the lies, aware of the cheating, aware that there's something not right in the system, aware that there's something corrupt in life. And it's because all of Mother Nature's laws have been unbalanced. We're not living by Mother Nature's laws anymore, we're living by man's, and man's is corrupt. It's money that rules, it's money that will save a life. No life is better than the other, no life is more divine than, yet money will save someone's life. Good or bad. If you don't have money, then fuck you. That's what they say. They'll let you sit there and die. As good of a person as you are, it doesn't matter. You could have helped 1 million people. But if you don't have the money, you will sit there in that bed and die. Yeah, money is the standard. Money is what rules, because man has corrupted the universal laws of nature. And hell, we're tearing down nature to make our money. Isn't that ironic too? We cut down the trees in Mother Nature to abide by our laws of money. We're destroying our own universe to again, further off balance Mother Nature. But I don't stress it because I'm aware everything will work out the way it will. It's beyond your control, and this is why I tell people you have to let go of anything that's beyond your control. Like, that's why I don't share videos of people fighting. I don't share videos of people of an abusive relationship or a woman being abused. I don't share videos like this because it's beyond my control. And I'm not going to share it for other people to feel that pain, to have to see and know that all you can do is share it. You're sharing it so that other people can see it, but that's not making any external difference in that person's reality. And personally, if that was my own mother being abused on camera or whatever you will, whatever situation, I would not want that being shared for people to watch. So this is why I say, take control of what you have control of and let go of what you have none of. Like, if I saw a woman being abused in front of me, in my eyes, in front of me, I will take control. I will react. I will respond how it's needed. But to see it online and to do a share does nothing for that person. And again, that's someone's family. You're sharing for the world to see humiliated. That makes no change. And it's the same with the government, conspiracies and all this crap. We can share it all day, but the government works out in the open. They work with no secrecy anymore. They work in front of the people because the best way you can hide things is in plain sight now. That's why all the elite groups of our government speak through symbols, because the symbols are right in front of your face, you just don't know what you're looking at. And so they speak through symbols, symbolism, sound expressions. They're showing you the answer through their symbol, you just don't know what you're looking at. But they work out in the open, everything's out in the open. There is no such thing as a government conspiracy, it's all proven to be true. And that's why they leave a trail of breadcrumbs behind everything they do, because they want people to realize it's bullshit, it's a lie. They want people to realize, and they're aware that there's nothing that can be done. They want us to just keep sharing and sharing and sharing, and again, you're only stunting your own personal growth by getting lost and consumed by what you have no control of. You're taking on the world's problems when not any control over your own universe, your own self. And as an empath myself, I've said this many times, but as an empath, we must learn the mastery of balance, because an empath will give their last. An empath will do whatever they can to help anyone else if it means suffering themselves. But an empath must find a balance within, or an empath will be a miserable person. An empath will seem like a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but we can make it a bad thing by becoming consumed with everyone else. There's a difference between caring and loving everyone and becoming consumed. And as I said, again, you control and influence what you can, and you simply let go of what you have no control of. It's as simple as that. And not everyone wants to hear that answer, but it's the reality. We're not going to be able to influence every single thing. We must learn the balance between letting go and taking control. And we must learn to know the difference between what we can control and cannot. But back to the DMT, because I want to stress this to people. Taking DMT is basically showing you that there is only one being, and it's what we're calling God. It's what we've given the title of God. And it's not the ideal image of what we've been taught as God. And this is why it's hard to accept for people who've been taught the complete opposite, even myself. I was born Catholic. And look how far I've come. By simply realizing logistics, it was not all there. None of it makes sense. It contradicts itself. Not only that, but it's speaking metaphorically for fucking all of it. Doesn't matter what religion you come from. If you seek truth, it will find you, and you will find it, because everything you ask is seeking you. Any question you have is a question of the conscious mind, and any answer you seek is the subconscious mind, sending your conscious mind that answer, and you will find it when you need to. As I said, we look up at the universe and think it's this huge universe, and we feel so small and lost because we're not looking up and seeing our own reflection. We're looking up and thinking, this is all foreign, this is all outside of ourselves, and this is all beyond us. It's not beyond you. You're looking at your reflection. You're looking at your true self in your true form when you're looking into the universe. We only feel lost and small and puny and unimportant when we're not aware of our true self. We feel we're just this little body looking up at this great creation. We don't know who we are. We don't know who we are because we keep looking at the mirror and defining ourselves. It's not the mirror that you will find yourself in. In fact, the mirror is what will trick you into thinking You're just the body. The mirror is what's tricking you. And I've said this before. The more time we spend being consumed on this image right here, the more time you spend in the mirror getting your hair perfect and putting your makeup on and getting plastic surgery and doing all this to be this perfect image of the outside, the more you're falling in love with the ego. The harder it's going to be for you to let go of this ego later on, if the time ever comes. The more attached you get to this body, to this ego, the harder it is to release and let go. And so when you're taking DMT, if you're prepared to release the ego, and let me say this, the releasing or the killing of the ego is only you becoming aware that you're not the body, you're not the mirror image. That's what the releasing of the ego is. It's you seeing your dead body, because as I said, in DMT you die. You see yourself die, and you see yourself outside of your body, in your true formless self. Formless self. No indefinite shape, no definition or indefinite form of anything. Why? Because you're everything. All at one time. And you're only this small skin for a short period of time. You're only playing as the avatar, which is to, as I said, the same reason we watch movies, to take on the character, to take on the role, to take on the scenarios, the trials and tribulations, and the good and the bad. It's the only reason we watch movies, and that's the same thing we're doing with life. We're getting lost in our movie, in the scenarios that we face every day. We even create further stresses and problems and all these things that aren't even real. We create them as we go along because we're, again, convinced beyond a doubt this is all we are. Just this small little body in this giant universe. And we're not realizing this whole universe is us in this tiny body. And we, as this tiny body, have the greater question of what this is, because this is what we are. And in this tiny body, we're born knowing something greater than ourselves, but we cannot define it. We can't put it into words. And this is what we know. This is us. This is who we're playing as. That's what you know. That's what's greater than us that we cannot define. You'll never be able to find the whole, what all of this is. You'll never be able to define in logic, in any amount of words, any paragraphs, and it doesn't matter how you word it. No one will ever be able to define God, consciousness, life. We are only trying to. We're only trying to make it more clear, only trying to allow ourselves to understand it on a deeper level, or to understand it on a different level. But it is fact, it goes without saying, we'll never be able to indefinitely describe or put any definition to what this is. All these words we use are created through humans. They're human constructs. So we must be aware that anything we give a name to, as far as real or fake, God or devil, they're human constructs. These are titles of names humans have given things to define them and understand them. The name isn't what they are. The name is our understanding of and representation of what they are. And as I said, at the end of it, none of it's real. None of it is real. None of it is in existence but the central self. And that's what any vortex shows you. That's what the rabbit hole represents. One singularity, one center point, creating a vortex. And that vortex always leads down the hole into the one point. And when you reach the one point, you have experienced the killing of that ego, the loss of the ego, because you have now seen you are this center point. You're not the dual reality. I'm not these two eyes, I'm the central point. And we all are. All of us are the central self. We're different through forms. That's all we're different as. We're different through different veils, different color, different background. And that's the only illusion that's distorting ourselves as one. It's the only thing tricking us into thinking we're not one. But I just have to stress this about taking DMT. When you take DMT, do not rely on anything outside of yourself to help you, to save you, or to even alleviate any of the pains or the troubles you have while taking DMT. Do not depend on anyone but your own self to save you and to ease you out of your bad trips. Sometimes when you take DMT, you go into trips, but you have a bad trip because you get stuck. But it's good to get stuck though sometimes. As I said, you want to be uncomfortable when you're taking DMT. Like me, I got stuck. And only me, it was good because I was panicking, but it showed me only you can save yourself. And that is the sole purpose of DMT. If anyone tells you anything else, they're confused. The sole purpose of DMT is for one to find the central self within. That's it. That's why it's called the spiritual molecule. It's connecting your conscious ego, the body, to the central self, the spirit, that is infinite. And it's making you aware of your true identity. And that's why you do die during DMT. You're being stripped from this veil that you're living as, pretending. You're being stripped from it and thrown over here and shown this is who you are, not this. And that is the experiencing the killing of the ego, the death of the ego. It's you simply under the illusion that you are the body. Once you are fully aware of that you are not the body at all, not even a little bit, you've awakened from the dream. You've killed the ego. How? By becoming consciously aware of your true and greater self. Some reference this as the crown chakra. But you reach the crown chakra and it explodes in your head when you finally make the connection that this is all you. And when I say it's all you, I do not mean the one in the mirror, the person I'm talking as right now. It's not who I'm talking about. It's all us, meaning the central self, splitting itself into a dual nature, two eyes, two hemispheres to the brain. And so, this two hemispheres to my brain, these two eyes are what's tricking me. This is what's playing the game of reality, of life, through the dual nature. And that's why you have two hemispheres to your brain. One is your creative, imaginative side, the other is logical and fact. And obviously, they're two opposites, completely two opposites. One's imaginative, fantasy, and the other's fact, logic, truth. Two complete opposites, and you're playing this dual reality, this two playing of energies in your own mind. It's all in your own mind. You're battling between what you can beyond a doubt prove and see and show through logic and science, and then you're balancing what is imaginative and fantasy and creative and myth. And what you don't realize is it's a balance of the both. What DMT does is it takes these two hemispheres and it puts them together. It balances them out. It also connects the conscious mind with the subconscious mind. It's been said for many years that scientists say we only use 10% of our brains, and I used to fight with this. I used to argue with this and say, I don't believe that. I felt like they were telling us we only use 10% of our brains because they wanted us to accept that we were not using our full brain potential. They wanted us to accept this as normal. And that's what I thought. It wasn't until I took DMT that I saw this is true. We do only use 10% of our brains. Because when you take DMT, you overstimulate your entire brain from front to back. The entire brain is overstimulated when you take DMT. when you're just consciously aware, like as I am right now, in a normal mindset, there's only the front of your brain, 10% is lit, versus the whole 100, your entire brain lit. So it is true, we only use 10% of our brains, and it's the 90% of our brain that is the subconscious self, and the subconscious self is what's directly connecting us to the universe. And that's why we're so easily fooled by who we are, because it's 10% versus 90%, and obviously 90% is far greater. So you're 10% aware of who you are, and you're 90% unaware of who you are. And this is why I say, it seems absurd for us to say that we don't know ourselves better than anyone. We should know ourselves better than anyone, and we think we do, right? But that's why I say, we have two identities, and you're only aware of the central self, you're only aware of who you truly are, of yourself, when you become aware of your two identities. When you've connected the conscious mind, and that conscious mind is the 10% who you're living as day by day, who you see in the mirror, what people call you when you go to work. That character role is the 10% of your brain that you are using. You are this character when you go to work, when you go to family events, when you go to the store. You are this character, the 10%. And that's why when people call your name, you think, let me respond. They're talking to me. They're talking to me, no one else but me. So we respond to this name. And when you become attached with the ego, attached with the name, as I said, you have a harder time letting go of the ego. Because you're further convincing yourself that this is all you are, is this name, this title. When you get to the root of it, all you're doing is granting a conscious being a title name. That's all you're doing. We don't technically have a name, we're given a name, we're just simply conscious beings. And in the Bible, the name is I am that I am. That is all we are. That's all we simply are. I am that I am. It was our idea to give names to identify us as individuals. So we know who we're talking to, so we can call people, or we know who individually we're speaking to. However, that further gets us lost in this matrix, or this game of individualism. And it's okay to play the game, but it's empowering to be consciously playing the game. It's one thing I'll say, because a lot of people have said, well, once you know all this, what's the point of life? Why this and why that? Well, what's the point? The point is to live. Your overcomplicated and overthought brain is overcomplicating the simplicity of it. What's the point? Well, to live. To experience. To get lost in your character and your role. It becomes fun once you are consciously aware that it is you. It's not taken serious anymore. You don't go to work and feel stressed out and, oh my God, now this and now that. And you're creating your stresses at work, at home, through getting lost in this character. Because you're convinced beyond a doubt this matters and this is real. Any problem that we create is illusionary and it doesn't exist. It doesn't even matter. It truly doesn't matter when you break it down. We're creating this stress for our character because we're living as this character solely. And it's once you become consciously aware that it is you playing this game with yourself, that you have two identities, you start to embrace the human emotion. You don't fear them. I used to be terrified to cry in public or to get angry. I wasn't terrified to get angry. I was terrified to cry in public. But again, I would be scared to get angry in public. I wouldn't want to get angry or sad or depressed. And now I embrace every single emotion, the good with the bad. I embrace tears. I embrace anger. I embrace happiness. I embrace all of it. The good and the bad. I love it. I embrace it. Because I'm consciously aware Yes, I may be sad. Yes, I may be crying. Yes, I may be angry, but it doesn't truly matter. So, yes, I'm aware. Allow myself to cry or to experience the human emotion, but don't allow it to affect your soul, your spirit. Don't allow it to become real. Allow yourself to feel and play the game with yourself, but become consciously aware that you're playing a game. It doesn't matter in the end. It's all for fun. You can learn to embrace all of this, the good with the bad, the happiness and the laughs with the sadness and the sorrows. You can embrace both sides equally by simply realizing neither one matter. Neither one are more real than the other. You're simply getting lost in your character, and you're living life as you should, to experience this human experience, to have the human emotion, to have the human senses, to ask questions, to get lost in nature, to get lost in your greater self. As I said, the universe is your greater self. It is not different and it's not foreign from you. It's not outside of yourself. It's all of you. This is why we feel so lost, because we look up at the universe and feel it foreign from ourselves. It's outside of ourselves, so it's indifferent. And that's why we feel so small. If you looked up at the universe and said, "This is me, this is my reflection, this is my greater self," it's not foreign and it's not outside of myself. It's all right here. Everything is in your mind. And that's what my cover photo is on my profile. I just changed it yesterday because I loved it. But it's from Alice in Wonderland, and it says, "It's all in your mind, Alice." It's all in your mind. Any happiness you feel, any anger, sadness, loss, it's all just in the mind. It's not real. You're experiencing it to get lost in the natures of being human. We aren't human. We're experiencing a human. There is a huge, huge difference between the two. Although some may not all see that, but there is a huge difference between being human and having human experiences. Because as I said, when you're convinced you're a human, you will look up at the universe and think of it as foreign, outside of yourself, and you will feel small as this little human. However, look at yourself as having a human experience, and you will realize that the universe is yourself in a body. That every single thing, every person outside of yourself is you. And as I said earlier on in this video, when I say you, I do not mean the person speaking in the physical, not the flesh. It's the central self, the you. Because we are all the central self. We all have the center point. We are all the central self. Only this time around, I look like this. I'm in this veil. I'm hiding from myself as this veil. Because remember, I'm just the central self. But I must trick myself into playing the game, which I've done for 20 years. I've driven myself mad insane for 20 years. To play the game. And I awakened from this dream when I needed to. And now I'm aware, and I can help others be awaken if they choose. But we do have the power. It is us. Although this is brilliant work, all this is brilliant work, nice work, yeah, that's great, but this is what insanity looks like. This is what someone who has been searching for their answer for 20 years looks like. This is what madness looks like. And that's why I said earlier in this video, man will try to define, draw, or explain through any representation they can of what God is, what the point of life is. However, none of this does justice. None of this. Not any one of these. All this exposes, though, is the center point, the central self, and that all creation must begin from one singular point to expand out and create. So if you have a circle, you don't have a circle, you got a center point expanding out to create that circle, and so on. That's what all this was meant to show, and this is what I took and I got from all of this. It got me closer to my answer, but it still was driving me insane because I could not reach the actual source, the answer. It just got me a little bit closer. But one will drive themselves insane or a little crazy, a little mad before they get to their answer. One must suffer to want to seek change. You must suffer and experience anger or madness or sadness or whatever to want to change. Yeah, we're all mad here. It's from Alice in Wonderland. We're all mad here. And we are. We're all mad here because we're all chaotic beings. We're all born and bred from the chaos. Straight from the center void of our universe, that's chaos. Manifested out into a bodily form from chaos, out of the void. From formless energy to a form in the skin. I'm going to end this live because I've covered both of the topics I've wanted to. I appreciate everyone who shares my videos, who's shared this video. And if you have shared this video, thank you for letting me speak and be a voice on your platform. I'm simply just trying to answer questions that people are seeking and that I've seeked my whole life. I began asking questions someone shouldn't ask at 5 years old. And I've been on this chase since. So my only goal is to simply alleviate some of these questions from people's minds that stop them from sleeping at night. Because I've been that person for over 15 years, driving myself mad. And all I simply want to do is just share with everyone else who seek the answers. And I expect to be laughed at along the way, but that's just fine. So thank you to everyone who shares my stuff, shares my content. Everyone who believes in me, thank you very much. I love you. Y'all have a good Tuesday morning. Any questions, feel free to inbox me as well.